Welcome back to the Unexpected Podcast. My name is Justin Mahwikizi, and today's guest is Julyn Panicola from NNA, Nordling and Associates. Welcome, Julyn.
Thank you, Justin, for having me.
Absolutely. Your background in business development and sales was striking to me, especially the work you're doing with NNA. I wanted to introduce yourself to my audience. With that said, can you go ahead and tell them who is NNA and how you fit in and what you're looking to do as a company?
Yeah, perfect. NNA is a company that I've known for quite a while. And James Dillon, being ahead of the firm, we had rubbed shoulders many a time, and I loved him as a person and was excited about what they were doing. And when I had the opportunity to help their boutique CPA, financial support um, firm is coming in as a business development. I love it when you have this great company and they just want to take it to the next level. And I'm here to help them do that of getting their name out. But also, there's a lot of people who are praying for solutions for their business. They just don't know our name yet.
That's right. Now, with your background, I wanted to start more philosophical and then,
Mhm.
delve deeper. But from a human nature, what insights, um, uh, you as an experienced professional, have you understood about the world of sales and business that younger professionals should learn from you?
Yeah, I think for one thing, the word sales, um, sometimes when people think about it, they get the ick. It goes to a negative conversation, kind of negative feelings, but I think of it much differently. No matter what company, where I've been, all sales is really knowing people's pain points. Like, what are they need help with, and then finding the solution. Really worrying about the end user versus what happens on your end. And I think when I've taken this approach, more of a uh, versus the end result for me, but looking at what's best for the prospective client or even introducing people to take care of a problem, then that comes out as success.
What has shaped that understanding in your career? Can you walk us through how you started professionally and how you ended up within this specific type of role?
Well, I let's go way back. I don't think you know this part of my story, but I grew up in restaurant business at a very young age, and there's one thing, you don't mess with people's food. Um, uh, but it really became that I can still tell you as being in high school in some of these positions, if I shut my eyes, I see my regulars. Know who they were, I knew what they drank, that kind of thing. So, really, it was that relationship building. I think we all have, I see it as when you have a relationship, you have these touch points. You're building a bank up of business of these touch points. And yeah, you can make a mistake. Things can come out wrong, but that only takes one of those touch points away. You still have that whole bank of that they know you versus if you go in, they don't know who you are, a mistake, something happens negative, then it's not a very good feeling with that situation.
What has the your background in the restaurant business taught you about handling rejection, handling when mistakes happen, and being able to keep your eye on the ball? Because your next move is that's really what's the most important in life, not just sales. How have you learned how to move past a mistake, integrate what might have gone wrong so it doesn't
Mhm.
happen again, but keep your eye on the ball and on the mission.
I think one of the main things is just being transparent and honest communication. Try to rectify it, making it the best for both parties and working on it together. It's not hiding from that mistake. It's like, okay, how are we going to work together to get to where everyone's okay with this? So I think communication through everything, two of those things, relationship and communication, are huge.
That's great. Now, if you go back to what you just said briefly earlier about pain points,
Hmm.
how do you help a client? Because not always, always clients not always understand what their true pain points are to find the right solutions. And so, how do
Hmm.
you help clients truly understand what the real problems they're trying to solve are, and so that you can work with them to design the right solution? Because I've had many occasions where
Yeah.
clients will come to me and expecting a specific outcome, and then I'll have to walk them back and say, "Hey, listen, let's look at the bigger picture here. You have
Hmm.
4 or 5 risks you haven't thought of. Here's how you really should approach this." What's your approach there?
I think what you say is very important. It's not filling an order. Like, a client doesn't know what they don't know. So when they come to us, they think they want a solution for whatever it is they're looking for. And it's really being able to have that discovery conversation. And first of all, it's becoming comfortable with them, finding out more, even personally, finding out really more about them, their company, and what they're looking for, and then be able to provide education and allowing them to make the decision on the solution. You know, Justin, sometimes the solution isn't what I have to serve them with. Sometimes it's making an introduction to somebody else and not trying to make it fit to where we're not the best solution for that person.
Okay. Earlier in your career, you were in, I believe, banking is where you started
Yeah, yeah.
before you went into sales. Can you walk us through that path, young as you were, how you approached it, the growth, and then the transition into sales, what precipitated it for our audience? I think it's a remarkable story.
Yeah, so I was an art major and I loved it, but, I quickly realized I didn't wanna be a starving artist, and admire people who are able to take that journey. So what did I decide? Banking. It was 9 to 5 at the time, I thought, which is not true. But anyway, get into banking, started out as a teller at the University of Wisconsin Credit Union, and it was, a magical place to work. They were very progressive, had lots of training, and at the time, I was able to move up in the company. I became the youngest branch manager, but not only being so young, but being a woman at the time. So, I was in a position where my team that I worked with, many of them had been alive longer. I mean, I had not been alive as long as they had been working, put it that way.
Yeah.
They were on my team, and so quickly I learned that how was I going to manage this group of people, and I realized it was just partnerships, like, really taking in what their strengths were, letting them shine, cross training, really having good communication, and we became the top producing branch of the entire system at the time. It was really a huge success.
Now, as a young person being given that responsibility and rising
Mhm.
fast, how were you able to balance the potential issues that could come from managing a large team and problem solving and understanding who each person in your team truly is, where they fit, what their skill sets are? How did you manage all of that, and any early pitfalls that you had to come out of?
I think one thing I had, and this is what I suggest to everyone, some really good mentors. I surrounded myself with good people, not only within my company, but on campus.
Mm.
And so I really was learning by example what I saw that worked, what didn't work. Kind of like starting your own company, right? Like you take everything you know you like and leave all that other and don't bring that other with you. So I think learning by example and then having that trusted team that I could go to and talk to about things.
Okay. And then, so you were at the bank, and then what was next in your career?
So, next in my career, I met my children's father who brought me out of state to a new area. I went into another bank, but then became a stay at home mom for a little while and took a stint of um, being at home. But I wasn't a person who just sat at home. It was one of those things I was involved in the school and in the neighborhood and in the community if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What uh, at what point did you decide to get back into the working world, and how was that transition from taking the time off to be a mother and raising the kids?
Yeah. So when I was at stay at home mom, I had the opportunity um, of joining a company and I joined to get out of the house once a month. And I did that just for fun money. And the next thing I know, hop ahead a few years later, I became the only person to start entry level, move up to a sales vice president, and life had changed for us. And I was told to supporting my base totally on this position. So it became another one of my favorite moves in life that you don't realize the pivot. Something I started as just for fun and then became the place that I not only was able to help my boys and myself supporting us, but also giving back to so many others within the company of helping them do the same as supporting their family, doing something for fun, however they wanted to utilize the opportunity.
What would you say you learned from that experience, for mothers who took some time off and they're thinking of getting back
Mhm.
in the workforce? What did you learn from it? What advice would you have for them to make that transition as smooth as possible?
So, whether you're a mother that has chosen or it's been chosen for you either to be at home or to stay working, it's never an easy choice. There's pros and cons to both. I think we all need to do best for whatever we decide to do, that there's no right answer. But whatever you do, um, just make the best out of it. Like, however it needs to be, that is your path. And then once it gets to the point, like for me, that I was able to transition back in, I didn't look at it as it was a blessing that I was able to have that time. And you still have that skill set. You may I questioned myself at first, but you realize that skill set is still there that you had before. Kind of like riding a bike.
That's great. When it comes to networking and relationship building, how should professionals think about networking?
I can't imagine not having the networking community. Really, I think a lot of our value, not only what we bring to the plate, is our community that we have around us. So for me, it's kind of like having the mentors when I was younger. The community is just an extension of that. When I need to refer people, people to refer to me, friendship, camaraderie, it's all within those relationships that we build. Um, Networking, sometimes people go, I don't know. I've tried a couple things and it doesn't work for me. It's not just showing up, it's getting to know some people within the room. Doesn't have to be everyone in that room. I'm always saying one, two, three. If it's anything um, in those numbers, you still had a success.
I agree. There's a saying in Chicago. I'm sure there's it probably somewhere else in the states as well, but at least I learned it in Chicago. It goes something like this: that you know, if a closed mouth doesn't eat, and so from a networking perspective, my philosophy is always being able to ask what you're looking for, be specific, but also make sure they speak to you as well.
Right.
Because what people don't know, they can't help you with. They cannot feed you referrals, or you're not going to get the referrals you're looking for if you're not being specific and communicative so that everyone understands what you're in the market for. Does that make sense to you?
It does. I think I remember an event about a month ago when you and I had a chance to really talk. I had been in the same rooms as you a couple times,
Sure.
but we just didn't have that opportunity. And I think timing is everything. And we were really able to really have a chance to get to know each other more. And here we are today.
That's it. That's it. Platforming each other. That's all it's about. Now, last question on networking: is it about quantity or quality, and how do you differentiate those two?
Yeah. So for me, I have found success through quality. I did spend there was a year of my time a while back where I said yes to everything. And I wanted to find out where my community was, what are the right rooms. The right rooms for me might be different for you. I think we need to find out who that is and where we should place ourselves. But sometimes you don't know until you're in all those rooms. Um, I could do it for a year, it's not sustainable. But now I know where I say no to some things, yes to others, because it's the right rooms, the right people. Sometimes it's not just for me networking, sometimes it's for support for others.
Right.
If you have an event, I'm going to show up for you, right?
No, it makes sense. Does it? What I've noticed, and some people, you know, whether they're business developers, business owners, they're in sales, marketing, um, the world of networking is so bifurcated, so siloed, right?
Mhm.
There's some tables you can't be at unless you pay a fee to be a member of it. There's some tables where you have to know somebody who's a member of it before you can get invited in, and there's some tables that are just wide open. They just, you know, feed conversation. How do you approach those different pillars of networking, so that our, if anybody in our audience is trying to do it, they don't feel put off if they walk into a specialized room where you have to pay a fee to be part of it or be a member of it to gain the benefits and the network. Uh, how would you advise them to approach it, and so that they're not bewildered and turned off by the whole world of networking?
Yeah, I am not against having to pay for being in some of those rooms. Um, and I do like the ones that I sometimes have pop-ups where you don't pay to be in, people can just go. But I think sometimes the pay for rooms, people are serious. If they're gonna pay to be there, they're serious. There's a reason they're there. They're committing to be a part of that group. So then for me, it's deciding, is it like-minded people for me? The group is not right or wrong. I could go through a number of types of groups. They all have the benefits for different people, but I think you have to decide by visiting. And I suggest that people visit the 1 or 2 time they can, and don't feel pressured of buying a seat in that room until they're exploring maybe some other rooms and seeing what is their fit, who are gonna be their people that are their community.
No, that's right. That's exactly right. You're finding the community that you resonate with, that facilitates opportunities for you for business, but also you find people you can help elevate. It's important to be able to be a giver
Right.
than a taker. Does that make sense?
Oh, I'm all about that. So I've heard before comments where people get frustrated with quote networking. I have a hard time with that, but networking, right? That word, kind of like sales, um, where they're like, I have shown up 5 times and I haven't gotten anything.
Yes.
My mindset when I'm going in, I wanna meet great people. Who am I gonna find new that I'm supposed to meet? Like you and I had that time at the table being able to talk, but also who in the room am I gonna go deeper into my relationship with, kinda refamiliarizing, and then what can I give to each of those people? What connections can I make? Because I'm a firm believer what you give out comes back to you. It's not necessarily, oh, I gave this person one referral, they owe me back. That doesn't feel good. That's transactional.
Correct.
But I can give, I just know it's going to come back in some way.
I always will. And you never know when it will, but your goal
Right.
is to, like I tell, I was talking to my brother recently. I said, you're building friends. You're making friends. You're building a table, a large round table, and you never know when that opportunity can come. The worst thing you could do is limit the amount of people in your circle, at least from a business
Right.
perspective, because you'll never know where the opportunities come, and you'll never know where you can provide them the opportunity. And so
Mhm.
circulating the opportunities is much better than the alternative. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And then I always think about it and excuse this example, but it's a dating process. It's not meeting someone the first time and you're marrying them, right? Like,
Right.
in order to really get to know each other, your reputation, you're going to recommend people out. You're putting your stamp of approval. So there's getting to know them. They have to get to know me. It's that comfort level to get to the point that we can start referring for each other or keeping people in our back pocket. So when we hear those opportunities, we think of them.
That's right. How do you keep those relationships long term? Somebody's Rolodex or client list or referral list. You could have 30 plus people in there. How do you make sure those relationships are fresh? They still remember you. You still remember them. Are you following up with most of the people on your list once a month, maybe an email, a newsletter? How do you keep, uh, those connections fresh?
Well, I think if we look at our connections, it's wide, right? Like there's a lot of connections, and some are in our immediate, deep community. So you have those close to you, and it could be a group. I'm part of, let's say, the Trusted Advisor Council, my TAC group. I meet them once a month. That's when we have our meetings and we're able to know what each are doing, get to know each other better. There's other people that I meet at events that I'm like, hey, Justin, let's keep the conversation going, and it can be, in person. I always like first, if you have a virtual, then say, "Hey, we need to have a coffee or lunch sometime in a couple months, keep the conversation going." Touch points on people's LinkedIn, help support them on there, make sure that you're active even in your own postings, and I send little messages. I just had someone, I forgot about it, sent me a video on LinkedIn just saying, "Hey, thinking about you," and it really made me smile.
Oh, it was a video of themselves.
Yeah, yeah, they just send, like, instead of a video call,
Yeah.
like, if they can send a video note, and I
Right.
forgot that that can be done on there. Sending a little note in the mail, a card, there's all those different touch points that continue a relationship.
I love it. Those are great. Especially the video notes. I might
Mhm,
start testing and see how things go. Let's go back to failure or rejection.
mhm.
Can you tell us about a situation when you thought that you did well, for some reason you didn't get the client, and how did you react, and how did you recover? Um, any of the stories in your career would be great.
Oh, I can there's so many. I always talk about I've skinned my knees so much, that's why I can help others so they don't have to. But what I've learned about doing well and then not winning the deal, not getting the deal, it doesn't matter how well I did. If it wasn't the right partnership, the right fit, that's okay. Like, just that's next. When I really was able to view that is a few years back, there was this person who had a need, and I thought my solution was the answer, and they went with somebody else. And I took it personally. Like, I'm like, why wouldn't they choose us? Like, we're the best fit. But that being said, they recommended me to many other people's and became a good referral partner for me. And what I realized is sometimes the partnership, there's just something that's not right, but that doesn't mean that they don't value you and your offering.
That's excellent. That's a great story. And how should younger professionals think about the no? Um, so
That
that it's because especially the first few no's, you take it personally because you're invested in it. Maybe your
mhm.
livelihood is tied to it. So how would you recommend the younger folks or any professional at this point that
Mhm.
hasn't gone through it, handle it and approach it?
When I realized we hear over no is not a negative. It just means not yet, right?
Right.
So I had a fairly large sales team. Um, that I created, let's get 100 no's, and whoever got 100 no's would go into a drawing, for an outing with me, and we
Okay.
would pick so many, so it wasn't just one, a few people could earn it. First of all, people, if they have time with you, it's not a gift. Your gift of time and being able to pour into them was huge,
Right.
but as they tried to get no's, it wasn't a negative, right? You're checking off, it seems goofy, but their yeses started coming more because they started to hone their skills,
Right.
how to learn it, and also view. They'd be like, "Gosh darn it, I don't have enough no's yet." And they're trying to get no's, and then they started to get more yeses. It was a win-win situation. And
Like it.
I used that over and over, and I could see them using it over and over where we have to get no's to get our yeses. And then it's figuring out how many no's then, like, "Oh, the pattern is I'm getting X amount of no's before I get a yes." So it doesn't look so daunting and you don't get disappointed.
So you flip the script.
Yeah.
Yes is now the mission. No is the mission. So in the
Mm,
morning, you want to say, let's see how many no's I can get today
yeah.
is a much better framework of mind. It's you essentially you're you're going through all the opportunities for you to fail so that the only opportunity that's left is to win. And when you get to that point, you know why you won, how you won, what message makes sense, or what type of client actually says yes, right? Because now you're defining who your
Yes.
true client is, and it allows you and your team to recalibrate and focus on what's working rather than going knocking on the same doors that would say no. Would you say it's a good summarization of what you just said?
Bingo. You said it well. You said it better than I could say it. It's one of those things that's finding out who is your client, who is who is going to say yes for you. So many times I would get frustrated, put myself back into the corporate world, and I never matched their sales um, work that they wanted me to do. X amount of calls. This is your script. This is where you need to door knock. Then I realized let me do what fits me. Let me be relational. I don't mind going out, but I'm gonna go to those doors that I match. All those things. So it's that relational aspect of it that you learn versus just going through the motion can be very disappointing.
No, I agree. And that's very insightful for our audience. From a risk and personal growth perspective, what major career risks did you take? What's one of the most major risks you took where everyone around you looked at you and said, I don't know about this one, Julyn. And how did that go?
Yeah, a big I always called them pivot in my personal life. I became a single mom and solely taking care of my 2 boys, and it was in a business that was 100% commission based.
Wow.
So,
I'm all ears.
people were like, "Maybe you should change where you are. Maybe you should take this kind of job." Like, all these different suggestions because it was a risk, and it was my 2 boys and I. Um, but it was one of the best things I ever did.
How did you approach it? Because now the tension is twofold, right? You have the responsibilities to you and your boys, and then you have a commission, comp style where you have to perform, you have to produce to bring
Mhm.
any sort of capital. So, how did you approach it? Were you methodical? Were you, was it tunnel vision? How did you make it a success? Because it sounds like it turned out to be okay.
Yeah, I think, everything's are putting systems in place, right? When I could be gone from the house, when I, hired a grandma to come in some evenings, but those were the only evenings I could be gone. Um, Times I was working during the day, working with my children along, like, it was all these things, I had systems in place,
Sure.
where it all worked together. But then also it wasn't just me, I didn't rely on me. I was able to take my success, show the systems to help others, and grow my organization so that there was many of us. It didn't rely just on me, and I poured into them so they could be successful, and then it came back to me. So it was really building on others, and I think believing that we can do whatever we set our mind to do.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. If we move to technology and social media, how has
Uh-huh.
technology changed relationship building and business development today?
I think it hasn't hindered, it's helped. Because in person, like we talk about, there's only so much time, touch points we have to be out in the world. But then you also have social media where you can reach your referral partners, you can reach your clients. You can still be seen, but it's being active. So what works for me, I really love LinkedIn. It's how I can continue those relationships. I can lift others up. I can be seen. Another place I use, and people laugh, it'll be Facebook, but that's where I have other relationships. They know who I am work wise, but they know personally. Other people, it might be with Instagram or it could be TikTok. I think we have to decide where we're going to place ourselves. Unless you're an influencer doing all of them, now you have podcasts like we're doing now, is huge, because it's not just being seen on those platforms, but even being able to, when people look for you, they're going to find you on the videos. They're going to find you wherever you're making your presence, and it's not just one place anymore. And I think know how to help people do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do mergers and acquisition valuations and other
Mhm.
type of work from an advisory perspective. But what I most enjoy is getting to know people,
Right,
building a real relationship, and being able to help them and see them thrive. Because I do know that if they thrive, then my network is better for it.
right.
Um, Now, if we go back to LinkedIn, because from a professional perspective,
Yeah.
it's the main platform. What are uh, the negatives? What are the pitfalls that people should watch out for? The errors that people that you've seen or heard people do through LinkedIn, and how they can have a better management of that platform with the relationships they make there.
My perspective on it, I think one of the big things is not worry so much about the amount of likes and clicks you get, especially these days, but how many people are seeing you,
Yes.
right? Um, Also, being consistent. I think people will that I've heard that get frustrated, they'll do a post here and there, and they're like, I'm not getting any traction.
Mhm.
Setting up that system, it doesn't have to be your life, but you do need to make sure and have touch points in it. And I think some of those touch points, don't just worry only like what you're posting, but also supporting others within your community and making sure and engaging in what they have to say.
No, I agree. I agree, and they appreciate it a lot.
Yeah,
There's a gentleman that I've been following. I call him a LinkedIn mentor. We don't necessarily know each other that well, but
yeah.
he's exemplified where my company would like to get to in the future. And I'll interact with his posts. And at one time, we actually had clients who wanted to participate in one of his deals. And when I sent him an email to inquire, the first thing he said before giving me information about that deal was, "Thank you for interacting with my posts." That's how he remembers me. And
Yeah.
then we went into the deal. So it's extremely important to interact, even if it's a like, or comments are actually the best because you're actually giving a perspective.
Mhm.
But you have an opportunity to be in hundreds of networking rooms at the same time within a
Mhm.
few hours. And I think it's work that people should strive to do, um, to maximize their potential.
It's just another touch point where people get to know you also.
Yes. Ideal partnerships. Who are the best referrals or ecosystem partners for NNA?
Yeah, so, um, in our firm, first of all, we are very relational. We are there to be a partner with our clients that we're working with. Our referral partners or the people that we partner best with are the same. They're going to care about that client, care about that business owner. We work in many areas. Uh, we partner together with you, Justin. I know at times, right? We work really well in the M&A world. We go from that bookkeeping aspect all the way up to controller level accounting, fractional CFO work, helping that business owner. We do have a vertical where we work in audit, especially with nonprofits. There's many that need support these days, and we can help that in that audit. It's really kind of near and dear. I'm a part of a lot of nonprofits and giving back, and they need a trusted advisor that they know they can go to. And then also we have the tax vertical where we have experts in that area that it's not about just doing taxes. It's about being a consultant to them, giving them tax strategies to where they can better their business and harness the power of what's available out there for them to, in the end, be the best they can be.
No, that's excellent. Um, from a reflection perspective, what kind of
Mhm.
impact do you hope to make with your clients and the people that you work with?
I think when we, or I'm not going to say I think, For me, clients, I become part of their company. Like, I take it on as though it's mine. So I want to help them succeed, go to the next level. I want them to get the support that they need to get, and they feel confident that we have their best interest in mind for them.
Great, great. And what advice would you have for professionals who are about to enter the business development world, whether they
Mhm.
graduate from college or they're doing a pivot in their career? What type of advice would you like to give them?
I think if you're talking about business development, the basics they're gonna know, like, "Oh, I need to know who my client is gonna be. I need to find my right referral partners," but if they really look at that community that they build, that relationships, the giving we talked about already, being a giver, get into those rooms and really get to know people. It's not by just showing up. You can go and be in a room, be in a networking group, go to an event, and just by showing up doesn't mean you're actively involved in it.
Right.
Do some give back to people. Make sure you're making those connections and have those connections be authentic.
What do you
It's
mean by
really,
that?
I think being authentic is really getting to know people. There's the transactional where I'm gonna meet with these people. I'm gonna find out about their business. They don't go any deeper. Um, I can tell that there's many things I know about partners. Like, we get to talk personal, but it's held in confidence, and you get to know people and what excites them and what their passions are and what they're trying to achieve. And really, I think I go back to growing up in a small town, right? It's community. When someone's hurting, you're there to help them. When we have a client, that's has a pain point, they're hurting, and they need to have a problem solved, I'm gonna have a community that I'm gonna be able to refer them out to, so they're not just trying to blindly find the right solution for them. And so I think as business develop it's important to have all those people in the community that help a client, help that business owner, that may not be your solution, but it's their solution they need.
No, that's excellent. Now, last question, second to last question, I promise. When you are, there's a difference between approaching a warm lead or a hot
Mhm,
lead, where there's already some type of introduction or you already know each other.
mhm.
When it comes to cold leads, whether it's from a networking or just you believe this person fits what you guys do and you're looking to reach out to them, whether it's a person or a company, what is your approach on getting this done to maximize the probability of a second, a third call, or hopefully a close in the end?
Either getting in front of them, getting in a call, and just getting to know them. I just wanna get to know them. I wanna get to know their business. I am not bringing any solutions yet. Unless they ask me, I'm really not talking all that much about me. I really just wanna find out about them.
Yeah.
I think, going in with thinking I'm gonna come out with, me getting a sale or me being the solution, I don't know them well enough yet. I need to get to know them, kinda look what they're looking for. Sometimes they don't know, maybe it's just getting to know them more and being able to educate them on what they might be missing, but that takes a relationship to do that.
No, it does. Um, what would you say to folks that are whose careers have kind of zigzagged, or it's not a straight path to where they want to be or where they are? and sometimes socially they could feel that's a negative. What do you think about your career, or how you were able to say yes to be in the right rooms, take the risks you needed to support your family, but eventually you were learning things along the way that got you where you are today? What would you like to tell them?
I use the word pivot. Like, just look at it as a pivot. Most of us don't end up where we thought we were. If you do, that's great. Um, that doctor that always wanted to be a doctor. Some of us thought we had a path that we wanted to take, um, but life doesn't go straight, and it's being able to take that pivot, and it's your state of mind. I think for me, it's always remaining positive. What was I supposed to learn from the past? What do I take? What skills did I get? What can I bring to the table now? And it's just taking that pivot and remembering it's your world, it's not what anybody else thinks. They don't know, um, the path that you're walking, and I think sometimes the expectation of what people think you should do. I'm gonna tell you, I'm going back home this weekend, and there's people have known me since I was a child back home. It's a little town of 1,000, and I have a painting up in the high school still, and people are gonna feel sad that, "Oh, she didn't become that artist that she was supposed to become," but to be honest, my life is more enriched. Glad my path has taken me the way it has. So, understanding, especially when you talk about, whether just out of college or, kinda new in the professional world, sometimes you have to take stepping stones to get to where you wanna be and create, the world you want to professionally.
I always say you're either creating or generating your future. The worst thing you can
Yeah.
do is stand still and do nothing. Um,
I had a luncheon yesterday,
yeah,
and both uber successful people I sat with, and they both told their stories, and none of them either of them didn't come without having points in their profession that it seemed like it might have been a negative at the time that didn't end up being the best change, direction, pivot to where they got to today.
excellent, excellent. Now, Julyn, if someone or a company wanted to reach out to you to continue this conversation, to inquire more about NNA, how would they reach out to you guys?
Yes, or find me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect there.
Julyn Panicola, thank you so much for your time today. You have a great story, and I've enjoyed talking to you. And I'm hoping our audience as well do gain some lessons. And those that are a good fit will reach out to you directly or NNA to inquire more to see how you guys can work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.